Hi guys.
So today's episode is about queer theory, but more specifically queer baiting and its harm.
So, by definition, queer baiting is a harmful marketing technique used by entertainment companies and other entertainers to attract an LGBTQ+ audience without actually displaying a queer relationship or a genderqueer character. This is mainly due to the fact that if they did include openly queer characters and relationships, they would lose out on money through censorship. The reason this theory is so harmful to LGBTQ+ members is that they believe big companies shouldn't be allowed to use their sexualities and gender expressions as a way to gain money and popularity. Being LGBTQ+ is a huge struggle when it comes to oppression and acceptance. It makes a mockery of the hardships of being a queer person.
Queer baiting has been involved in so much media that most people can name an example off the top of their heads. For example, Sherlock and John Watson in BBC's Sherlock, Loki and Mobius in Disney Plus Loki, and Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes in the MCU franchise. The directors and writers make it so that the characters has chemistry, tension, and a true care for one another, just as a female-male love interest would. However, instead of ever writing them to be together, or even confess feelings of love, they keep them as friends, even though it's obvious that they were more.
I feel like a lot of the time, shows will just dangle the idea of a queer relationship, of a queer character, and hint at it for like season after season after season, but never fully commit to it.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of inclusivity.
Yeah, like they'll make a show where it will be, the main character will be straight white man, and then they'll make all the other characters somewhat gay and just use that as like equality.
Yeah, your token gay.
Yeah, but there are very few shows where it's actually about a queer person. And if there is something with a queer person, they make it all about that one thing, that they are queer.
Like it's like their whole personality.
It's their whole personality, yeah. And it just makes it really shallow because obviously there is more to a queer person than just their sexuality, same as there is with straight people. And it just makes queer people look shallow, basically.
Going into more detail about some of these examples, I wanted to talk about the relationship between Steve and Bucky, especially in Captain America: The First Avenger. Every interaction the two men had held was very typical in romantic tropes. The way that Steve saves Bucky from the prison, such as how a hero would save a damsel in distress in a typical romance relationship. If you watch any of the movies with the two of them in it, the relationship is very obviously more than friends, with longing looks, promises and betrayal.
And yeah, Steve and Bucky's a very good example because of what happens in What If.
In one specific episode of What If, where Captain Carter is Captain America rather than Steve Rogers, she saves Steve Rogers the same way that Steve saves Bucky in the original movie, but they make Captain Carter and Steve in a relationship.
Yeah, just because it's heteronormative. And yeah, Bucky and Steve, and then Steve and Captain Carter shared like a lot of similarities, and I think it's unfair that they didn't explore Steve and Bucky a bit more.
They were definitely gay.
They were so gay. And then on the topic of Disney, the queer baiting continues in the Loki series. The first thing people notice is the instant connection between Loki herself and a character called Mobius. They have loads of moments of tension and clearly have feelings for one another, and everyone hopes to see them get together in season 2. The other issue is the queer baiting of bisexual and gender fluid erasure in the series where Loki meets the female variant of himself, Sylvie. They are the same person, yet they write Loki to catch feelings for her. We all know that if Sylvie had been a male variant, they would have never have kissed or even had a relationship, even though the character of Loki came out as bisexual on the show. It also states on the records of Loki during the trial at the TVA that she's gender fluid. Though fans were elated that this was brought from the comics and made canon in the MCU, they used no other pronouns for Loki and just he, him, and didn't even acknowledge it. Instead, they gave him a female variant and just tried to pass it off as gender fluid. There's a quote from the show and it says, "Have you ever met a female variant of us? Sounds terrifying," which basically just erases all of his gender fluidity.
I feel like there already was male variants of Loki in the show that he met, but there was no tension between them whatsoever. It was just with
Sylvie.
The female variant.
And if he did like himself, because, he's with Sylvie.
He's very narcissistic anyway.
Yeah, if he does like Sylvie as much as he says, he should like every other variant of himself.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I mean, staying on the subject of Disney as well, and the recent Star Wars trilogy, you think about Finn and Poe, there's so much tension between them.
Yeah.
I mean, this second time they met, they held like a 5-second hug. That's
Yeah. Even the first time they met, it was just so cute, and they were like boyfriend and boyfriend.
They really were.
And when Poe like almost died, Finn was distraught,
Finn
took his
was
jacket.
literally- yeah,
How
Finn
is that
was-
not gay?
Finn literally wore his jacket in tribute of.
Him, and it's so cute.
I also feel like it's only ever noticed by like queer people,
Yeah.
I agree.
and the heterosexual people hardly ever notice it because
Yeah, no, just brush it off.
they just want to ignore it. Even if they do see it, they will deny it because
But Disney is so bad for that as well. They'll do it with a lot of things just to gain. But I also think that it's not just to gain money and popularity, but it's also the fact that they do have to not have gay relationships because otherwise they'll get paid less because of other countries' like laws. But like in Eternals, they did get paid less because they had the first openly gay character. Oh, what was his name? I don't know, but he was the openly.
gay character.
Yeah, he went off and he started his own little family with a man.
Oh my god, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Fastos. Yeah, and he was openly gay, and he's also a person of colour, and that was like a big step for Disney. And yeah, they did get paid less, but it did make up for it because a lot of people really liked the fact that they had that character.
And I feel like when these corporations do these sort of things, they always try and double it up. So the same as sex education with Eric, he's gay and a person of colour.
Yeah, you can't just have like
Can't have one
and the other.
Yeah.
No, I think 13 Reasons Why? I think, I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen the show, but I feel like the way they handled characters being queer and gay, I think it was handled really well.
Yeah,
It was
I've
very,
never
like,
seen it.
Normal.
True, and
Yeah.
like it showed struggles as well as the good side of it, and
Yeah, it felt natural, and I also feel like with the queer characters, they had other personality traits and they had
Yeah.
other struggles aside from their sexuality
Yeah, and that is really
and
important.
gender identity.
But yeah.
Well, going back to sex education quickly,
Yeah.
an afterthought. Every gay character is a person of ethnicity. You have Anwar's like Asian originality,
Yeah.
and what's his name?
I mean, what is his name?
Raheem.
Raheem is
he's
French,
French,
yeah.
and also
Cal was a person of colour as well.
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
No, they were.
non-binary.
They were non-binary, yeah.
non-binary.
But also their whole storyline was again about them being non-binary, and it is good to teach people about that because it's a very mainstream
Oh,
show.
actually, there was that other non-binary character. I forgot
Oh, yeah.
their name.
Oh yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But that was good.
It begins with an L. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, no, I remember because
They were
yeah.
white.
They were white, yeah.
But then that
Again,
was the only white person in the show that was not
The
heterosexual.
only queer character that was not a person of colour.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, their storyline was still based on the fact that they were
Yes,
genderqueer.
yeah.
So, yeah. But it's good because it is a mainstream show and it will teach people. But I still feel like it teaches people that that is the only thing about a queer person, is that they're queer.
Yes. Right.
So those were our thoughts on queer baiting and queer theory. So thank you for listening
Thanks for listening, guys.
to those.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.